I'm Mary Polcheninoff, and welcome to Sure Things. It's interestingly enough, today I have a returning guest, which I think is the first time I've done that in my show. And today I'd like to welcome Marcy Fuller back. Welcome back, Marcy.
Thank you.
And last time you were on, we talked about genealogy.
Yes.
And that was really important. So, interestingly enough, I happened to be, it must have been the Westbrook Days, the event on the green that I happened in.
Yes,
into
the Day on
Westbrook.
the Green. That was our fundraiser, and you showed up for that.
I showed up and walked in, and there you were, and I snagged you again. But it's just so interesting because every time I go in there, I realize what a treasure it is for everyone here in Westbrook. So I wanted you to be able to.
It really is, and every time I look around, I see new things I hadn't seen before.
Right.
So it's just chock full of mementos and memories of Westbrook.
Right. How did you get involved in the Historic Society?
I've been a member for a very long time, and it was only about 2 years ago I decided to run for president. And so I have a very busy last 2 years organizing things and running it, and I've got some helpers that get us
I was
through.
going to ask you, do you have other officers that work with you? Is it just Marcy
yeah,
Fuller
we
as
have
president?
a group.
You do have a group?
President, vice president, secretary, treasurer, all those.
Yeah. And so for the Historic Society, do you have then monthly meetings?
We do have monthly meetings and a yearly meeting where all members are invited.
Yeah.
It's like at Christmas time, we have a nice luncheon and everything.
Yeah. So could you tell us some more about the history of the Westbrook Historic Society?
Well, I think it was 1964.
Or 64.
When it was first formed. There was 23 founding members. And when Westbrook built a new library in 1977. And the old library, which is on the town green, became our Historical Society museum.
That was a library.
That was the old library.
Yeah.
And so the upstairs we use as the museum, and the drum corps has the basement where they can have their meetings and store their equipment and everything.
I didn't know there was a basement.
Yes, the drum corps. Westbrook Drum Corps uses that.
Okay, so
that's good. You can have that on the next show.
I know. There you go. You'll just keep leading them down, which isn't bad at all. Thank you. I thought because that building has always intrigued me. Right on the town green is really our trademark there. Just that building.
It is. It catches everyone's eye. It's a beautiful building, and the museum itself. It was about 6 years ago. It was totally remodeled. Everything was taken out, cleaned, and rearranged.
Yeah.
And it really tells a great story now. When you first walk in, there's the exhibit of the Native Americans, because they were the first people living on this land. And then as you go clockwise around the building, then you come to the exhibit of all the farmers who came and settled here and did their thing. Then the mariners and the shipbuilders all settled. Westbrook has a pretty good shipbuilding history. And one of the ships, the captains, his ship held a world record for sailing around the Horn to San Francisco.
What year are we talking?
Oh, like 1820s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And that's a little claim to fame. And after the mariners, then we have all the shopkeepers and businessmen that started to come into town. There's a nice exhibit about that, a little bit of everything. And then there's a garment section, which displays, old clothing.
Right.
Then you have all the civic organizations, the churches and the schools and the bands and orchestras that were in town and all those things. And there's the shore life, the beach-going communities and all the hotels that were at the beach and all that. That we have a research center.
I
which
noticed
is nice.
that.
Yeah.
Is there somebody in particular that mans the research?
No, we get occasional email requests, like, do you have any information on this? Or we're going to be coming into town, and our family used to live here. And if we have enough, warning, we can look things up and pull things out and get things gathered, and they can come in and see that.
I think the day I was there was a gentleman who knew some history of some of the house. Either it was his dad's house or his house, but he was seeking further information.
Yes.
And the other person there was going to do some research and try to help him out.
Right.
Do you do most of your research right there? I would assume too right now a lot is online.
Yes, online and whatever we have gathered. We have lots of paper products of, newspaper articles or photos of old family photo albums and things like that are all organized and filed.
Yeah. it's so interesting to go in and think you're stepping back in time. And how would you? I was thinking especially of the clothing. How do you acquire these items? Like how do you?
Clothing, like we recently were donated an old trunk, leather trunk filled with old clothes from somebody's, great grandmother,
right.
and they had saved it until recent death in the family, and nobody really wanted it, and so they offered that to us. But not everything's in good shape. You have to really decide, is this good enough that we can display it? And, pick and choose what you want out of it. This case, most things, it was really nice. But
That's a
clothing, deteriorates with age, and it's hard to keep the clothing, looking good.
Would you just, for the museum, does it have to be definitely traceable back to Westbrook?
Yes, it's the Westbrook
It has to be
Historical
Westbrook,
Society.
so it's not, you're not just going to say clothing of the 1800s. It's going to
No,
be from
it's-
Westbrook.
yes.
So I wondered about, because I've seen shows on some of the bigger museums and their big storage areas, and then they have to bring things out and move them around. Do you do anything with exhibits that move or change, or you might feature something?
We do. Each holiday especially, there's like the librarian's checkout desk right in the center of the room, and we'll decorate that big shelf with seasonal displays, old-fashioned seasonal displays, and we recently had an exhibit there about the West Beach that had the Grand Illumination, it was called, where at the end of summer, all the houses were decorated with bunting, red, white, and blue bunting, and everyone, before electricity, they all had lanterns lit, and the whole shoreline there was all decorated, and they had contests, they had ball games, they had fishing,
It was just
derbies.
a big end of the year, end of the summer celebration?
Yep.
The Grand
Illuminations, it
Oh
was
my
called.
goodness,
So we had a
that's
big
interesting.
display about that. And yeah, so we rotate exhibits,
So you have storage areas, so you can do that? Okay.
minimal.
Minimal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. So you acquire it, if people will donate. Do you ever have to reach out if you, through mailings or emails or anything to see if you can
Not usually.
purchase
no.
items?
We're going to hope to eventually use the new Bushnell house that we
Yeah.
acquired for exhibits of some type. We're not sure yet what's going to
What the
become of
theme,
the house,
yeah.
what we have planned for it. So that's still in the future that we're looking forward to. But the garden club, we've partnered with them. They're going to plant a big section of like a medicinal and herb garden, which houses back in those days would have had.
Right.
You
right.
couldn't run to the grocery store.
I have seen that. I've seen
Yes.
that in museums.
So they're very excited to do that for us.
Is that up and coming next year, or that's just in the works?
We're already
planning?
meeting and working and scoping out the site, and doing that with them. They're doing it all.
That's one. That'll be a
Yes.
wonderful connection.
Yes.
We mentioned that I was there for the Westbrook Festival. I don't know what we called
The
it.
Day on the Green,
Day on the Green.
Arts and Crafts.
And was that all to benefit the Historic Society?
Yeah, that's our once a yearly fundraiser that we do.
Yeah. And then those funds help you acquire things, or?
Yes, since everyone is a volunteer that works there, whatever funds we raise, it'll just help the daily operations of the society, or to acquire things we might spot on eBay that are a Westbrook artifact, or to help with people we hire to put on presentations.
That is so interesting. I'm just still stuck on the thought of you scouring eBay for Westbrook Westbrook items, because that must be something that does pop up, I would assume.
Yeah, it does.
That, and I don't think the marketplace probably is much on Facebook, but definitely eBay must have items such as that.
Yes.
That you can now. Does everything? And I'm sure you're going to say yes on this, but does everything get cataloged?
Yes.
Do you have
There's a program that most museums use to catalog and archive all their items.
Right. When you think about the items in your library, in the museum, do you think the majority of them are donation, or would you say there's a good half that you had to acquire through
They're
money?
almost all donations.
They're most all
Yeah.
donations. So
Only recently, with the creation of eBay and sites like that and technology, do you actually look for items. But most things are donated.
through just the people of Westbrook. I'm so impressed that
Yeah.
that people know that that's such a resource, because they must know that you have so much in that museum.
One of the recent things we acquired was an old family Bible, and it came from a man in Wisconsin who was a descendant of Peter Stannard, which is
Yeah.
a very common name in Westbrook, founding family. And we were having a grave rededication of the smallpox cemetery in town, and that's who was buried there, Peter Stannard. And he was a descendant.
Yeah.
So he came out from Wisconsin for this rededication of the graveyard and brought the family Bible and donated it to the society.
Donated it.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, what?
yeah, that
what-
was fabulous.
What is fabulous. So you have that on display there.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Okay. Well, that's great. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the future of the Historic Society in Westbrook. Be right back.
Come on in, come on in.
Welcome to Sure Things.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mazzetti Show.
Hello and welcome to Arts and Entertainment.
You matter.
You matter.
You matter.
And your words matter too.
Your words matter.
What you say in the hallways at school or in the student section at a game matters.
Words can be hurtful.
Words can be offensive.
Words can leave scars.
Words can also inspire.
Support.
And uplift.
You and your words.
Are they both important?
As a matter of fact, yes.
I don't need these glasses. Are these reflective?
Hi, welcome back. I'm here with Marcy Fuller, who's president of the Westbrook Historic Society, and we're having a great conversation. We just left off where you mentioned the family that came, the Stoddard, right?
Stannard.
Stannard, with the Bible.
Yeah,
which
they
is
donated
awesome.
their family Bible, which was really, it's a fantastic thing. We have several family Bibles, but in the center of those Bibles, they list the births, deaths, and marriages of all the family. So that's really makes connections.
And it's awesome. So that family just donated. It wasn't anything like, we see sometimes in art museums, on loan from.
Right.
Do people ever do that, or do they just really donate it?
We try not to take loans anymore.
Okay.
Because they forget, the family doesn't realize that their treasure is here on loan because their great-grandmother loaned it to us. And then it's like, oh,
How do you,
it creates issues.
all the gaps
Yeah.
there. You mentioned earlier before the break about the Bushnell House. So I just wanted to talk a bit about that. That was newly acquired?
It was donated to the town a few years ago now, and about a little over a year, by Leighton Lee, the third of the Lee Company.
Of the Lee
He used to
Company.
have his engineering museum in there, and now it's empty, and he donated it to the town to be used for something historical. So it needs a lot of work. We got to get a lot of inspections done, but we're not sure what we want to do with it, but definitely some type of museum.
Oh, it's
will
going to be
in there.
exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting to think that you have a whole nother area. Now, what year would that house go back to?
It's supposed to be the oldest house in town, and it's probably, what did I write down? Yeah,
Oldest house. So it's a wooden structure. That's
Yeah.
amazing. It's lasted.
it is old. Oh,
Yeah.
1680 to 1720. They can't.
Could be
definite-
1680.
Oh, yes.
And that was, that was a Bushnell house, you said?
It was a Bushnell house. It's been called the David Bushnell Memorial House, but that just confuses people. David Bushnell of Turtle fame
That's what I'm wondering.
did
Yes,
not live there.
He did not live there, but was the turtle there for a while before?
No,
It was never
David
there.
lived up
Okay.
on 153,
Okay.
and that's where he built the turtle. So this is a same family, Bushnell family, but probably his second uncle or something.
I think I had that other misconception, because I would tell people, oh, and that's the guy that built that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. Okay, well, that's
It's just
yeah,
named in memory of him.
named in memory of him. So are there ideas you toss around when you think of acquiring it, what that could look like or what might happen there?
At this point, it's too early. We
It's
still
too
have to
early.
clean it up and make it usable.
And that type of task, because I can imagine if it has things in it and you have to, I know the inspections have to be with the experts, but do you have volunteers that just come and they'll donate their time to come help you with?
Well, I've just been contacting people asking, do you want these things that are in there?
Yeah.
That way they take it away for us. We don't have to worry
well,
about
there you
disposing
go.
of it.
Instead,
So once we get it all cleared out.
how's that working for you? Is that working?
Pretty good so far, yeah.
Yeah, so you have
Mostly large display cases.
Okay.
Large display cases that we need to get rid of.
Because it was a museum.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, they must have taken their engineering things with them.
Yes.
But I think that's just fascinating that we acquire. And I know I asked a bit earlier too, how do you let people know, like when you talked about this rededication of the cemetery, how do people find out all this information on
Well, in that
what's
case,
happening?
it was the Standard family. Peter Standard was buried there.
Yeah,
So we wanted to try to find a descendant of Peter Standard.
yeah.
So we just do some genealogy work and find his children and grandchildren, great-grandchildren, until we find someone still alive that is descended from him. And then we contact them and,
And they came by?
yes.
And they came. That's really amazing.
Well, they were very
amazing
pleased to
history.
think that we're still honoring their ancestor, you know, and
Sure.
preserving his grave and thinking about him.
And I know, like we talked before when you were on the show last time about the genealogy part, because that's also your forte, which is amazing that you have that combination of being at the Historic Society and you can do all the research to find out the information about it. I love going in. Is that open certain days of the week, the Historic Society?
Open Wednesday mornings
Just Wednesday mornings, yeah.
or by appointment. If I know someone's coming into town from, out of state, and this is
Right.
the only day they're going to be here to see something, I'll always go down and open up.
Do you open it on the, when we light the tree?
Whenever there's special events on the green, we're open
That's
then
open
too.
on that
Yep.
too, because that's always a great evening.
I think the next event is Veterans Day.
Yes. And so you'll be open for that?
Yeah, there'll be a ceremony on the green November 10th.
Okay.
And it'll be open Friday.
I'll be open for that. I just encourage people to go through because it's so fast. You walk in and you're just surprised. I was just surprised to think about the resources we have and the items you have. And you brought a few items to talk about.
Yes, but if they really want to see everything, they can go to our
Website.
brand new
Right.
website.
So there's a brand new website. Maybe we can call that up on the screen there. Yep, you see it on the screen, the Westbrook Historic Society. That's the new website, so that'll tell.
They'll be able to see
updated
everything about it
information.
and what we do. But I did bring some items.
What did you bring today, Marcy?
All right, so there was a Messerschmitt's Pond, which is in northern Westbrook there. There is a factory there that made this item.
No.
And for those that don't know, this is a nutcracker and a nut pick. So you would crack your nut and then pick the meat out of it. And they manufactured these for about 40 years.
What was the name of that?
Messerschmitt's Pond.
Pond. And that was the manufacturing plant itself?
Yeah, they made these for the National Silver Company of New York. They made them between 1930 and 1970s. Yep.
That is fascinating because as I told you earlier, just cleaning out my storage and getting things organized, I put these all aside because,
Yeah.
as I said on Thanksgiving, we always had a bowl of,
of
those
fresh
to
nuts.
use.
And like I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of ship captains from our town. And this was a cane that one of them had. And you can see there's
There are
things
discs
here.
on it, yeah.
These are the vertebrae of a shark.
The vertebrae of what?
A shark.
Of a shark?
A shark. And a bone handle. And that was his cane.
So, how would you find that out, Marcy? How would you know that these,
Just research.
just research on these? Do you
Yeah.
know who it belonged to?
Captain Perry.
Who, was he a Westbrook person?
Yes. Well, he was born in England,
Yeah.
but then he lived in Westbrook, and he was married several times, one to a Standard, and that was donated by a Calderari, David Calderari, I believe. I don't know how he got
What
it.
year would you be thinking?
Oh, 1800s, 1820.
1800s. So
1820.
if you have an item like that attached to a family, then I would assume you probably can have the other grouped items if you have
Yes.
anything from that family.
Yes, we'd like to acquire items like this from local people. That's what makes our museum so great. And the other thing, this was donated. It's a little ceramic bell, but it's painted in like scrimshaw
Yes.
style.
Oh, right.
And that was done by John H. Wilson, who was the first president of the Historical Society.
Well, wow, that's
Yeah.
he actually did the,
Yes, and we have
The artwork?
Yes, he was an artist not by that wasn't his job, but that was his hobby.
That's beautiful.
And the family donated lots of framed artwork that he had done, and all these objects also, so we could sell them to raise funds for our society. So that was really nice, and that's just an example of one thing.
That's beautiful.
He did a lot of scrimshaw work and paintings.
And what year was he president then? What year we did that?
He was our first president, so what did I say, 1964?
About 64?
Yeah.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Yes.
I love that. That's a beautiful shape, too. So you actually sell items as well?
Yes, we do sell items. We have
Okay.
several books all about Westbrook and a lot of the artwork. And there's Augie Hogfeld had an art gallery down the street, or almost across the street from here. And
Yeah.
we have a lot of his sculptures and artwork also for sale.
Oh, he had that big stone?
The big old art gallery.
Yes.
Yeah, by the pond.
By the pond.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. They still have one of his pieces out there, right?
Yes,
The big
isn't it
stone
beautiful,
one.
that big horse?
It is beautiful.
Horse and rider?
Yeah, it is beautiful. I had seen that on that one there.
I'm glad that was rescued.
So when you have certain events happening at the Historic Society, you talked about, some of the things. What other
Yes.
things do you...
We've had, some of our events are just so wonderful. I wish more people would come out to them.
Yeah.
We had an architectural tour in the center of town. A man talked about 3 of the buildings right in the center of town and, what they represented in their structure. It was really interesting.
Did they hit on the Military Historical Museum, that one?
No.
That building?
That was just the post office at
That-
one time.
It was, okay. Because I'm always curious about that building. But they went around and they talked about other buildings right on...
Speaking of acquiring artifacts, we were just given permission to take that sign down for the Museum of Military Historians, and that we've now got stored, and we will
You'll
repair it
display
and
that.
display it.
Interesting.
that's,
That's because I really wondered about, the history, and then, because it must have been opened at one time, right?
Oh, yeah, it
the
was. Yeah.
Military. Oh, so you took
Yeah.
that down.
Yep, and they gave us permission. So that's, how we acquire certain things. But we also, besides that tour, we've had the graveyard tour we gave was well attended, and we just picked, as the group, we picked about 5 or 6 people from that graveyard, researched their history, and as one at a time, we just told everyone about that person. And a lot of people have connections to these people still.
Sure. I would imagine so. And to hear that history just,
Yeah.
in real time is amazing. So you had a good turnout for that.
Yeah.
Was that just advertised in the paper?
Yeah, and
that's-
Facebook.
And Facebook.
That
You
was
have-
it.
So there's
But
a
now that we
Facebook
have our
page.
website, we can advertise better.
Yes, that website, and you can put on videos and other things, because you said there are some other presentations.
Yes.
And you showed me that video.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
That was great,
Yeah. That was a high school kid who had taken a course here.
Yeah. And he
that was his
made that
project.
all, that
Yep.
that was a wonder.
Yes.
Will that be on your website?
Yes, that's on the website.
Oh, good.
So they'll see that. We also hire professional speakers or historical presenters to give talks. And there's been like the Black Civil War soldier, a guy recreated that and gave a talk. That was fabulous. Everyone wants him back. There is the beachwear of the 1890s.
Oh, geez, I can imagine.
That was-
how fun.
Yes, imagine all the clothes you put on just to go into the water. It was really fun to see. We've had talks about the doughboys of World War I.
Oh, yeah.
What were some of the others? We've just had so many.
It's so good to know now, and to let other people know that you're going to have the website. It'll be on the website.
But the stone wall builder, everyone liked him too.
I saw that in the paper.
He
That one
told
I saw
about
in
the history of our walls in New England.
Yeah.
And as he talked, he actually built a little stone wall on the table. I mean, to see this thing come to life, it was really fun.
That's really wonderful,
Yeah.
Marcy. This has been so interesting. Now, video, that would be good on your website too, the presenter. Do you have any presenters coming up? Do you know of?
We usually plan them in January, February for the coming year.
For the coming year, so we'll have to stay tuned on
Yes.
that. Okay,
They'll be announced.
but we know that it's open on Wednesdays and Veterans Day when we have that event, and we know that
Tree lighting on December
tree lighting,
3rd.
December 3rd, because that's always a big turnout too.
Yeah.
That's a really good. Well, Marcy, I want to thank you again. I have a zillion more questions, but our time ran out. But thank you. You wear so many different hats. I don't know. Next time I have a show, it might be a whole nother theme. You never know.
Yeah, right.
But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in today. Again, it's the Westbrook Historic Society with Marcy Fuller. Please stop by. Treasures abound there. If you have any questions, please let me know at surethingct.gmail. I'd love to hear from you. Till next time, take care.